Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Red Dragons of all ages, welcome back to Finger on the Pulse. I'm your host, Nate Fingerman, and I am joined today by Bastian Dudley, member of Oneonta's Swim Team. Bastian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, what exactly does Swim Team do? It sounds obvious, but maybe there's more underneath the surface?
Right, so it is kind of obvious in some sense. Swimming, we practice, we compete at meets every single weekend. Yeah, it's just like your typical sport kind of. I think swimming is different than other sports like you think of about football, baseball, stuff like that, soccer. And I think it's less structured in that sense and more so a very like individual sport. Like there's not really any physical contact and it's very like focused on times. So.
That's why they didn't let me swim. I was too violent. What events do you compete in?
I compete in, okay, there's 4 events. There's the fly, the back, the breast, and the free. I swim a mixture of long distance freestyle events as well as breaststroke events. Freestyle is like, it's technically considered all 4 strokes, like you could swim anything for freestyle races, but the most efficient is just like the front crawl method. And then I also swim sprint breaststroke. I've been getting into that since joining college, and that's kind of like, it looks like a frog. That's the best way I can describe it.
I like it already. Which stroke is your favorite?
Breaststroke. I have been really enjoying it. Freestyle is what I swim the most at practices and at swim meets, but breaststroke is like very like you're in and you're out. And also I feel like with technique in swimming, there's so many things you can do, and breaststroke applies that, where you can have such varying technique. Like my breaststroke could look so much different than your breaststroke, and both of them could be just as good in like their own ways, as opposed to other strokes where you want them to look more similar, if that makes any sense.
That does indeed. Who are some of your inspirations when it comes to other swimmers or other athletes?
So I love watching like the Olympics. I don't know if anyone else does. The Summer Olympics, of course. I would say one of my biggest inspirations is Katie Ledecky. She is the legend of women's long distance events, especially in freestyle. I think she just has a really good attitude with swimming. I feel like with sports in general, it's very easy to have a really bad attitude with the sport. You could be like, oh, I hate this sport because it's so hard. Or like maybe you get an injury and you're like, okay, this sport sucks. But I think Katie Ledecky has a really good attitude when it comes to being persistent. She's been in the game for so long. I don't even know how many years she's been competing for, but I think it's really inspiring to see that she's still here and that she's still like doing really good in the sport too, and proving that you can be older and like still be a really good competitor.
Very nice. Now, you mentioned the Olympics, and I think a misconception that a lot of people have about the Olympics is that every 4 years you have a whole new crop of fresh faces and fresh athletes. But for swimming, is there more longevity there or not so much?
I think in the sport right now, we're seeing a lot more longevity, but then also like a mixture of new faces as well. In this past 2024 Olympics in Paris, we did see a lot of new faces, especially on Team USA. Like names that I can think of that are like newer are Gretchen Walsh, who is like our top flyer. Kate Douglas, who started out with like freestyle, but then like kind of went into breaststroke. She's pretty cool. And then we have like older names too, like there's Zilly King, and she's been swimming breaststroke for I think like well over a decade. And she recently retired, but like she was still like killer. And then of course Katie Ledecky in long distance. So I think with swimming there is that conception of, oh, okay, you swim your 4 years in college and then like that's pretty much it, unless you're a professional swimmer. But like even so, if you go pro for swimming, you're really set on a time limit. But I think especially like the women like Katie Ledecky come to mind, and how they're in their 30s and they're still swimming and like being really strong.
That is very impressive. What has being on the swim team here in Oneonta taught you?
I think it's taught me a lot about perseverance. In high school, we swam, or at least my team had a lot much less yardage as opposed to here swimming on college. Yeah, I think that change from going from a shorter distance to a longer distance has been something that I've had to adjust to. And also just like the scheduling in general. In high school, you practice 2 hours every single day and that's it. In college, I'm swimming 3 hours every single day and I'm lifting in the morning for like an hour or two. And that's definitely a lot at times, especially when you consider like, oh, I still have classes and everything. That's just part of being a student athlete. But I think through that hardship, I was able to, I'm still learning, but like how to manage my time and how to persevere through like the hardship.
It definitely takes a lot of dedication to be a student athlete in college, which I find admirable. I have my first class in the morning. It's at 10 a.m. and I feel like a big baby for whining about it now compared to you. From everything that you've learned as a swimmer, as an athlete, what do you think will help you most in the future?
My answer might be a little different from everyone else's. I am really into social media and like public relations PR work, and I think one of the biggest things that has meant a lot to me is being able to like kind of manage and like help out with SUNY Oneonta's official swim and dive page. I've been able to like make a bunch of graphics that like honor all of our swimmers and divers who are doing such a great job, and I think that's one really big takeaway I'll take from swimming, and something that I can apply to my future too, because that's something I want to look into doing in the future.
Interesting. Why is swimming and athletics in general so important in today's world?
I think it's really important, at least for people like me. I don't know about the whole world because I think, of course, everyone has their own interests, and like maybe you're not interested in watching the Olympics every 4 years, or maybe you're just not interested in swimming, and that's completely okay because swimming isn't for everyone. I mean, there's certain sports that I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'd just be interested in it, but I think for the people who do compete, it's really important to just be in a sport and have that like team culture. I have so many fond memories of getting through hard practices or just like joking around with my friends growing up. And I think this may apply to like any sport in general, but I think at least for swimming with me, it has been really important to have that growing up because it definitely like formed my identity and it gave me a lot of, I don't know how to word it, but it's given me a lot of like purpose and I don't know, it's kind of made future challenges that I've like run into easier.
I understand. I think everyone deserves a place to feel a sense of belonging, and I think athletics can be a great place for people to find that. So I'm glad that you have. When do you think was the best era of swimming? I know today there's a lot more media, a lot more attention. Is now the best time to be a swimmer?
I think there's an argument to be made. I think what a lot of swimmers would say is like the golden era is when Michael Phelps was still swimming. Of
He
course,
stopped?
like
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he retired.
Man.
I think it was the 2016 Rio Olympics, but don't quote me on that. I'm not as up to date in competitive swimming, but I do like to keep up with it. And I like Michael Phelps was like a GOAT. He was a legend. Like everyone knows his name. But I personally would say now is like a great time. We have the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles.
Ooh.
So it's going to be in our home country. And I think there's so many up and coming swimmers. Like just recently, there's a major event going on. And we've had multiple record breaks on the women's team. So I think the women's team is on fire right now. And I think that's something that we should really put attention to, especially with Kayla Decky, other women from other countries like Ariana Titmus, Summer McIntosh from Canada. I believe she's from Australia.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we have a few countries like battling heads. I'm so excited to see the 2028 Olympics. I think that's going to be a really big year for swimming.
I think so too. For people who are new into swimming or getting more interested, how can we become involved with Oneonta Swimming?
So there's so many ways. You could come to a swim meet, you can contact a coach, you could join a club. Like, there's so many different ways to do that with swimming. So I think just like reaching out and trying to get involved is a good way.
Thank you very much, Bastian. Thank you for joining us today. You can follow us on Instagram at Wired TV Oneonta. You can find us on YouTube at Oneonta Wired TV. You can plug the swimming social media real quick.
Oh yeah, you can follow us, OST swim _dive on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I'm Nate Fingerman with Finger on the Pulse.